Six Pats players spent their day off in Vancouver with the Vancouver Police Department learning about drugs and speaking to addicts so they could bring their message back to schools in Regina. The day started at the Marine Police Unit.
The boats are relatively small boats. As we're moving around, the boats might have to suddenly violently move at any time. So always have one hand for the boat and something solid. So there's some flexible railings on one of the boats. That's not something solid, so one hand for something solid, okay? You're welcome to move around the boat. Whilst we're moving, so if I'm working from here, I know, okay, I'm going to be holding on to here next. That kind of thing, right? So that when the boat suddenly moves and you're in mid-transit, you're okay, that's where I'm going to hold on to, right? Make sense?
The home of Vancouver Police Marine Unit. In behind us at the moment, we actually have two vessels in from the Navy, in from Esquimalt. We're here down with the Regina Pats, taking the guys out for a little tour of the inner harbour of Vancouver, and to discuss some of the problems that we have in and around Vancouver. My name's Graham Webb. I'm the acting sergeant on the Marine Unit. I've worked here for a few years, and so I'm aware of some of the problems that we have in and around the port area here. Drugs are a great concern to all of us within Canada and certainly within Vancouver, and it's good that the guys are here to see some of the problems, not just with drug abuse, but then with the mental health issues that then come along with that. Unfortunately, from a Marine Unit perspective, we deal with people who are at crisis points often in their life, and they've decided that they want to end it all. So unfortunately, one of the sad things for our job from a Marine perspective is dealing with people who are suicidal and have either decided to jump into the water from a bridge or from the shoreline because they want to end their lives. On the flip side of that, a lot of the work that we do is preventative with regards to safety. So we're interacting with boaters all the time, and we're making sure they have the correct safety equipment. They know the area that they're going into. They've checked the weather, because here today we've got some a gale force. A gale warning is out. So they know the local area, they know the hazards, and they can be as safe as they possibly can be on the water. Yeah, as part of the tour today, we showed the guys a tour of the inner harbour of Vancouver. So they got to see some of the industry within Vancouver. There's a lot of heavy industry here. Vancouver is the #3 port in North America for trade. Unfortunately, with that amount of trade, it does bring drugs. Drugs are smuggled in through the port, through containers, through other vessels, and also through pleasure craft. There are guys out there, unfortunately, organised crime, have boats and they're bringing drugs in. So it's good that the guys have been able to see that this is the area that has a lot of heavy industry, but also the drugs are brought in through heavy industry, so their eyes are kind of open to the route that drugs come into our environments, our local areas. We toured around the inner harbour of Vancouver. They got to see a whole lot of marinas, people with boats. They got to see different types of industry, grain coming from the prairies, sugar, coal, wood products, sulphur. There's a lot of raw materials and trade from Canada is coming from the prairies, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and coming out east and being exported to Asia. So the guys have had an opportunity to see that. We've discussed drugs, we've discussed people who are down on their luck, having mental health problems that the Marine Unit interacts with, unfortunately, at sad times in their life, but sometimes we can be preventative, we can help and bring people back from the edge as well.
I'm not too sure either, but I think we're going to see a lot of people that, have tossed their lives away, just wrong decisions, not a lot of support anymore. They've lost family, they've lost friends, just because of drugs and wrong choices.
Compare you guys to me, because you guys recognize any time when you're on the street. Sometimes, yeah. Especially, obviously, when I'm in uniform. But even because I've been down for so long, even when I'm sometimes not in uniform. And you guys are going to have a heck of a lot of impact on young people. Like, when I go out and I talk, people expect me to say that drugs are bad because I'm a policeman. And I see where bad choices can lead and all the ways to human potential where it can go. And you guys are going to have that extra bump because young kids, especially young impressionable kids, have got they really do, they look up to you guys because heck, you guys are what most kids want to be, whether it's hockey or lacrosse or soccer. You guys have reached that level, that commitment where what you guys say and what you guys do is really important. important and has a huge impact. And we work with I've seen it wholeheartedly, and I've seen it firsthand with the Vancouver Giants, because we do this program. I think we've got, this year we've got 13 teams that have come in, and Vancouver is one of our teams. And those players are going out to the schools. And there's a quote from one of the little grade 6 girls. She says exactly what I told you. I expect the police to tell me drugs are bad, but when the hockey players come in, it's a whole different way. It's a whole different approach, and it sure has more of an impact. So I'm glad that you guys have taken the time to come, and I'm glad the officers here have taken the time to reach out to you. All right, so my name is Mark Steinkamp. I'm a sergeant in the Vancouver Police Department. I'm also one of the founding members of a charity called Odd Squad Productions. It's started by beat officers in Vancouver's downtown east side 15 years ago, when we saw young people coming down to the area experimenting with crack cocaine and heroin, and not drawing a link or a realization that by smoking something, it's actually the most effective way to get it into your system. We would warn a lot of those kids off, and often we would take addicts that we'd formed relationships with, and they would tell the kids, don't do what I've done with my life, go live a healthy, clean life, and you won't end up being in a place like I am. And so 15 years ago, 7 of us pooled our money. We bought a camera because we knew that we didn't want to catch one kid at a time. We wanted to show the kids the end of the road. And by no means are we trying to tell people that one use of anything is going to make you end up being in a place like the downtown east side. But a lot of people do start by smoking pot or drinking alcohol, or even some people even say smoking cigarettes, and they end up going down that road to addiction because it works really well with their makeup or their brain. Me, as I've spent the majority of my 22 years as a police officer working in this area. I was here as a constable. Now I'm here as a sergeant. I work with 11 constables, along with 2 other sergeants, and they work also with 11 constables. The area itself has got 76 police officers that deal with a geographically small area, and we walk. We're beat officers, and what we do is during our shifts we walk and we patrol the area and try to keep a lid on the violence and the different types of social issues and drug dealing issues that plague this area.
In his talk, these people are good people for the most part. Yes, there's going to be some that aren't so nice, but remember, it's all about the choices they made, and an abundance of choices that ended up why they're down here, right? So again, be respectful, use proper terminology like when you're talking to them. Don't belittle them or anything like that. You want these people to open up to you, and if you're genuine and respectful to them, chances are they're probably going to tell you their story, because you're gonna find out that they want to get this message across, especially when you tell them what you guys are doing here, all right? And what the message is you're trying to get back to the schools, right? As soon as you tell them, this is what we're doing, we're taking this message back to the schools and telling these kids not to make these choices, right? It will be an eye-opener, and like I said, don't be afraid to talk to these people. Like I said, get the conversation going, and most likely you'll ask the one question, and you won't have to ask another one, because they'll just, here it is. It's pretty easy once they got the idea that, okay, this is for the schools and the kids. Other than that, I wouldn't say have fun. It will be an experience for you. Even with the weather the way it is, you're still going to have quite a few people out there, so relax, don't worry.
The most important part of the Pats' day in Vancouver was their trip to East Hastings, one of the poorest and most drug-addled neighborhoods in all of North America. Accompanied by a few police officers, the Pats split into 2 groups to visit with addicts, get their stories, and bring them back to schools in Regina.
So yeah, it's been pretty busy so far. We kind of thought it might have been a little bit tamer given that the weekend was almost over, but down here you never know.
Well, let's go down and do a couple lanes.
Yeah.
Anybody you can think of in particular that we could talk to, or?
Yeah, there's definitely a bunch of people in some of the lanes there that we talk to regularly, the kind of the common faces that hang out in certain spots. Whether they're there tonight, I'm not sure. I guess with the rain, it just depends. But you get the usual guys, so if they're there, they're usually pretty
We're going to
good about
follow your
talking to
lead,
guys, so.
and we'll probably try to find Larry, the chain man, there at some point.
Okay, yeah, you'll
And we'll do it.
be
We'll
at the 5
check
there,
out the
so.
Balmoral, maybe walk through bar.
Okay.
It's all good. Let's
Yeah,
roll.
just let us know where you want to go. Or
Yeah,
where
we'll
you're-
just roll. You know,
you're
there's
hoping
not
to
much,
see,
much down there. But
Yeah.
With subpar weather conditions, cold and rainy, the streets weren't quite as busy as they usually are when this program hits the streets. That said, it didn't take the Pats long to start hearing their first stories. First was a woman named Mecca, who'd been in East Hastings for 17 years, an addict to crack cocaine. She told a similar story to what the guys would hear throughout the rest of the night, that she would take it all back if she could, and that she had plenty of aspirations to get away from this place.
It's not just the drugs on the street, it's the different kinds of situations that happen on the street. You know what I mean? With the street wars and the street battles and people's getting, running away from other people's because of this or that and the other and getting themselves killed. I have been considered as a vigilante and stuff like that, you know. I think she knows what I'm talking about, right? Oh, yes, I would. I'd knock the living out of them. I've seen some crazy stuff, and I know I don't tolerate it. If I'm there to intervene, I will.
How long have you been down here?
I've been down here for 16 years. Yeah. I've been warring down here for 16 years. I've saved a lot of people's lives. A lot of people's lives.
Where were you before that?
Well, we won't go there, right? We will not go there. All right.
Do you mind if I ask why you wear the chains? Sorry.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
It's only a night thing, though.
Yes, only.
In the daytime, they don't come.
Yeah.
Hey, Chain Man, can we get a photo with the guys?
Yeah.
What happened, there's 110 rooms in this hotel, so you get all these addicted people that are administered by the welfare people that say, you know what, you're entitled to a welfare check, but we're not giving you the money because you spend on drugs and alcohol. So go to the hotel, find out if there's a room, get a notice of intention to rent, bring it back here, get it signed, bring it to the hotel. We'll mail the check to the hotel, and then we'll give you the balance of the welfare check to waste on drugs and alcohol. But at least you have a place to live, eh? Yeah. So the guy would get all that done and come over here, and then he'd come to the front counter and say, here, I got my paperwork all in order, they're going to mail you the check. And the guy at the counter would say, how about if I give you 3 rocks of crack and you don't move in? And it's like, I'm an addict. I'll take the crack. Yeah. So then another guy comes along, same process. So in its heyday down here, like in the 80s and 90s, these guys were collecting like 300-400 welfare checks a month for a hotel that's only got 110 rooms.
Well, it's been pretty eye-opening. You know, I've seen some things I've never really seen before. Seen a lot of different things, a lot of different people. You know, talked to a lot of different people and experienced a lot of different stories, and seen where they all come from and how they ended up here. So it's been pretty eye-opening, and it's been pretty interesting. Everyone's made a couple bad decisions, and it's led to here, and they all agree that they'd take it back, and if they go back, they make different choices, and they're just talking about letting the kids know in schools that you got to make smart decisions early because it could lead to places like this.
Screen for the rock.
Right. So it kind of acts like a bit of a filter, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So can you show them that? Just take it out again. Usually, what they have is they'll have like a plastic tube that gets attached to the end, because obviously when they use it, the glass heats up. It gets really hot, right? So they burn their lips. It gets all chapped. Their fingers get all damaged and sore. So they put like a plastic piece at the back, so it kind of protects their lips a little bit better. Okay. And so with that crack pipe, you can see there's like a kind of milky sort of texture color to the inside of the glass now, right? So that's all crack residue. So when they light it, they can start inhaling it as it goes through the Brillo, and that residue is all inside the pipe. So if we were to take that pipe and send it in for an analysis, it'd come back with cocaine residue, right, on the inside. So you'll see people when they don't have money to get more rock, or they don't, you know, they're trying to get some extra cash or whatever, they'll get a little stick and they'll start pushing their pipe. So they kind of scrape the bits of residue off the side to see if they can get a little bit more of a buildup to try and get that high again.
What'd you start with?
Crack. But I don't smoke crack anymore.
No?
I use heroin, but I'm trying to get off of heroin, going on methadone.
What kind of pushed you to kind of make that change?
So I'm just, I was stealing, and I wanted to stop. So I think methadone will probably be my answer for that.
Do you ever want to leave here? You ever plan to get out of here?
Yeah. I want to work again.
What did you do before this?
Waitressing. I rebuilt chimneys at one time.
Oh, that's interesting.
What do you wish to do?
I want to have a coffee shop.
If you had like a message to say like to the kids in the school that we're gonna go to, what would it be?
There's nothing interesting about drugs to even try. It will only ruin your life. Once you start doing drugs, it's very hard to stop it. So, stay away from these streets would be a real good message. These are bad streets, and they just suck you in.
It was kind of an awkward situation, but it was also talking to the people afterwards. It was kind of their way of survival. I know we were talking to the guy, and he said that's his only way to feed his addiction. So it's kind of sad and kind of eye-opening to see that's what people have to go through, either taking a chance of being arrested or maybe being jumped off just to feed their addiction.
Like we watched a drug deal go down firsthand, and just not even a block up the street, there's a guy just lying there in a pile of clothes and with cardboard boxes is basically his bed, to the best living condition, I guess, in this area, which is a raggedy old room with rat-infested, cockroach-infested, and like it's eye-opening to see how tough it is and how rough the lifestyle is, and even like the best living conditions they have really are less than acceptable in most people's